Hey folks, it's Maxwell here and welcome to the second edition of 21st Century Wrestling. We have our second edition of the Best of British Wrestling Television show before we head to the first pay-per-view, which is Steel Cage Challenge. I keep in my head thinking Steel City, which of course is Sheffield, but it's just Steel Cage. So I'm still, even though it's been two shows, well, this will be the second show, still learning half the roster. A lot I've not even figured into plans yet. But that'll take time. That'll probably even take 6-7 episodes. Just get an idea of the characters and really what we can do with them. But intrigued to learn, and hopefully, as I say, as time goes on, we'll do well. I've made a wee adjustment from the last episode, so I can have a bit more freedom with the lower card. I've just put it to main event spotlight, and for the angle to be rated on like mostly the highest angle as well, just so I can mess about with the lower card, and it allows us, if we bring MD in, we can really just utilise him and not take too big a hit for it. And I realised the button for the sound is in the top right corner next to everything else. So that was simple. It just dawned on me at one point. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. We're in the north of England this time. I think the show's in Newcastle, so we should be selling out the arena we're in. But yeah, it's all part of the learning curve. Let's do it. This is 21st Century Wrestling, the best of British wrestling. So let's see how this show goes down. So 4,900 fans in the Tyne House, and we start the show off with one of the main reasons that 21st Century Wrestling is what it is today, and that is the money man behind the scenes, Jeff Nova. He says, "Thank you everyone and welcome to 21st Century Wrestling. Now I won't take up too much of your time with a night of lots of action and entertainment as we head to the Steel Cage Challenge at the weekend. I had to keep stressing this show weekend because I couldn't remember if it was Saturday or Sunday, but it seems to be Saturday the 15th. But I do feel I must confirm a few things about that show and about 21st Century Wrestling in the future. So I can confirm we're going to announce a few matches on the night of the show. This is because of the investment from Mr. Smith, Avatar, where he's working out what matches can make the best show possible. In reality, I've had two shows, I'm still learning about people. I'm not going to have a full card ready in that time, so I feel like there'll be a couple of matches on the night. We'll see how it goes. Which I think is quite fair. With regards to the show, we know about our championship match for the world title, which of course is going to be Orson versus Burton, the rematch. But what about the Cornell situation? Well, I confirm that the House of Business will team up in 6-man tag action, and they'll face against Tommy Cornell, Adam Matrivers, and a mystery partner who will be announced at the time. This will be one to help change the face of 21st Century Wrestling. My final announcement is for the more long term, but I wish to start a women's division within 21st Century Wrestling. It won't happen overnight, but we're hoping by the end of 2022 that we can have one of the best women's divisions in the world. Thank you and enjoy the show. So this was one of the ideas I had straight off the bat, was to get a women's division. Then I went on the forums and saw a lot of people complaining about the women's division and the state of just the development in this game. And that got me thinking, can't argue with that. That's fair enough. I'm not going to argue it. But if it is the case, it just brings an extra element to chat of a challenge. So I'm all for it. So we'll see how that obviously goes as time goes, obviously when the full game comes out. But yeah, so we'll set up a few things there. Main event is going to be the Cornells in that 6-man tag with the mystery partner, and of course the World Championship match. At least that's 2 matches we can confirm for the show. Good thing is, Jeff Nova did a masterful job of improvising, and his segment rating was an 88. So overall, I'll take that. Pretty solid stuff. Our opening contest was a decent matchup that saw the tag team of Absolutely Flawless defeat Cool 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 in 11:47 when Kelly Martin pinned Look Cool with a reflection perfection. 60 for the wrestling, 64 for the crowd, only a 53 for the segment. Really, this was just to establish Absolutely Flawless as the number 1 contenders with their victory here, because they cut a promo after the match. After an impressive victory we hear from them, as it says there, Luke Martin says, "Another win for the good guys." You could say it was Absolutely Flawless, and I believe it's Kevin. I'm still learning half their names. Kelly Well, it's not even Luke Martin, it's Lance Martin, Kelly Martin. And basically, with that flawless victory, we are putting out a warning to the King's Men. We're after you, and we want our tag team titles back. We'll see you this weekend where there's no escape. So most of the marquee matches and the title matches will all be within the steel cage structure. This is such a learning curve. Still messing up names, but part of the fun. Segment gets a 57. Next up, we had a decent matchup where we had Landon Mallory, of course, who had the vignette last week, defeat Joe Simpson in 7:47 with the Springbok Ram. 58 for the wrestling, 57 for the crowd, and a segment rating of 60. Joe Simpson with the better in-ring performance, but Landon is one we're building up. We then had a video with us music playing, and it's just basically Hellbound doing some crazy stuff. My kind of idea here was kind of like a righteous kind of thing with Vincent and Dutch, but it finishes off just with Forrest saying, "Be warned, the pain is forever." So obviously they were in action last week, or at least Jonathan Forrest was. 40 rating for the segment here. Of course, that features Blackheart, Gravedigger, and Ruin as well. And Forrest was in action just after this one, and I was about to had some decent reaction from the crowd. Terrible wrestling. Jonathan Forrest defeats Vinny Vigilante in 6:35 with a devil's drop. 44 for the wrestling, 49 for the crowd, 51 overall. There was a lot of matches, in truth. Next up, we had a decent reaction from the crowd, but terrible wrestling, and we had Riddick Jordan defeat Kelvin Badbury in 7:06 with a flying headbutt. This one was just really giving Riddick some more momentum. The 47 for the match, 50 for the crowd rating, and 51. Kelvin Badbury was one of two people who came up to us looking for an opportunity. They are not signed to the company. So him and Nate Manchester, who I definitely had, I think, at one point in a previous save, basically both wanting an appearance, and I thought, well, that gives me some enhancement talent and not lose any momentum for our main roster guys. Then I had a little video here segment. So it was used to changing the angles from obviously live to pre-tapes, and then obviously going from an angle to a video. And I don't know if this was obviously the video, and it just basically says hyping up the matchup. Rolly Muckle Truck. I keep wanting to say Rory, but Rolly Muckle Truck. I might actually change that to Rory at one point because he is Scottish. And Bedlam. These two will come to a head at the pay-per-view, and yeah, probably will be Bedlam. But a 65 segment. And the segment did lose a little bit of heat. Next up, more matches. We had the 21st Century United Kingdom Championship on the line, so first title match, I believe. And it was a decent matchup. War Machine defeated the Welsh Dragon in 7:19 with a second floor leg drop, making his second defence of that championship belt. Simmering crowd heat. I think that's going to be a continuous thing, but 58 for the wrestling, 57 for the crowd, and 61 for the segment rating. War Machine with 67 overall. Cliff King doing some good work at ringside. We then have a few words from War Machine in this 73 rated promo. So it seems around here people are just making challenges. Given that Absolutely Flawless decided to challenge my brothers Herring and Valance, we know this weekend I'm feeling confident, so if anyone in the back has the balls to step up to me, I'm going to whoop your ass and I'm going to retain this championship inside the steel cage. I'll be waiting. So one that we couldn't really get a feud ready for quickly enough, so I felt like it was a good idea to, open challenge, and we can kick on after the first event when we have a bit more time to put a programme together. Next up, in a decent matchup, we had Ricky Storm defeat Mass Hulk in 6:49 with the super kick. So these two tag teams are in a feud. Ricky and is it Sifu or something, and Mass Hulk and everyone else that's in his faction. I'm still educating myself on that. But wrestling 57, crowd 62, segment 61. The storyline advances, and a good win for Ricky Storm with his tennis look for some reason. Next up, this one was just a quick squash. Bout that had not a lot of heat. Embarrassing wrestling. Well, that's a great start. Edison Silva defeats Nate Manchester in 5:41 with the knockout knee strike, and this was designed to tell a storytelling match of the night. 38 for your wrestling, 46 for your crowd rating, and 40 for your segment. These two didn't click. It made it a bit of an awkward bout, but again, it was just putting over our talent in Edison Silva, with Nate getting a cameo. Next up, our World Championship match is going to take place this Saturday night. The champion Wade Orson defends against the former champion Lee Button. It's his rematch. So I thought, who could we utilise? Somebody that's not very over, but someone that has a lot of charisma. And I decided, we could have our own Grayson Waller, our own The Miz, insert talk show. So I'm going to go with Forrest Charmer in that role. He still doesn't have a great skill set, but at 21 there's absolutely massive room to improve. So 72 here, let's talk you through it. So he says, welcome everyone to the Charmer Show. Prepare to be charmed by me, your host, Forrest Charmer. Tonight, please welcome the challenger for the 21st Century World title, Lee Button. Button says it's good to be given time and spotlight by a true up-and-comer who respects me and knows how goddamn good I am. This weekend, I'm going to bash Wade Orson's head off the cage continuously, and I'm going to take back my 21st Century World Championship. Forrest comes in and just says, I agree mate, he's a joke, it's a shambles that he's the world champion. This brings out Orson, he heads to the ring, and he says, well, one little up-and-comer here certainly isn't lacking confidence. Maybe after I beat Button, I can kick your arse afterwards. Both men square up to each other, with Orson holding the title, basically up in front of Button's face before Button just decides to back off towards the ramp. I'm very bad for heels always ending stuff on the positive, so I felt like, yeah, let's just keep this one kind of neutral. But the future is now slowly in advance, but lost heat. Forrest Charmer worked the crowd well, and Wade Orson looked good and improvised well. That's 72. In our main event match. That's a gutter. The storyline idea was deploy them as a failure. Well, I was actually hoping it was going to be in the final segment, but yeah, it's deployed here and it did not pay off. So not great for the main event. We may just survive with that very good opening promo. But here we had a good match, decent wrestling. Adam Matravers and Tommy Cornell defeat the Red Devils in 12:35 when Tommy Cornell defeated Victor Beskov with the guilt trip. 70 for the wrestling, 71 for the crowd. Segment was 73, and you can see there Cornell is just head and shoulders above everyone else. Beskov pretty decent, but you'd imagine him and Ilyakov's performances were probably boosted by the excellent chemistry. And this one had a 63 for part 1, 69 for part 2 with the taking care of business storyline. There's a lot here. It's a fantastic win for Matravers and Tommy Cornell, but wait a minute, out of nowhere, it's the rest of the House of Business. They're here. Doomsday, Beskov, Ilyakov, and BW Eddie, all four of them there are attacking Cornell and Matravers. And of course, who's walking down the ramp slowly, and he's laughing as this beatdown ensues. He grabs a mic. It, of course, is Edward Cornell, and he's just laughing. He's like, ha ha, would you look at this? You fellas aren't even going to make it into the cage 100% this weekend. What chance have you lads got with this mystery partner? Well, I'll tell you what. What's left of you guys, take that to your partner and bring it this weekend, because we are on the road to the end of Tommy Cornell. It's Tommy Cornell's final countdown, produced by his cousin, the superior Cornell, Edward. Fade to black. So we again lost popularity in the UK with the 6 regions. We did gain everywhere else, so we still need to try and get a wee bit more within the UK. I just seem to be lacking something. I was hoping that Jeff Nova promo would maybe carry us up a little bit, but not quite. And the general feeling is 2C, I keep saying 2C, 21st Century Wrestling don't have enough storylines rated hot or above going on. It's one that I want to keep on that penalty, because I feel like this, as I say, this is going to be the creative save. This is where the pressure is on storylines to come through, compared to, as I say, the For the Sickles, which will be predominantly match, few promos here and there, but we are going for 100 rated matches. But yeah, overall, looks good. We'll get a few matches booked in then. We'll get the 6-man tag, we'll get the world title match. War Machine will defend the United Kingdom Championship. We'll have absolutely flawless challenging for the tag team championships, and we'll throw in 2 or 3 other matches as we continue to learn. about the Seaverse. So I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching. As I say, educate myself every bit I can. I was back watching Wrestle Blake's video that he had in the various Seaverse companies for TEW 2020, which was a massive help in just learn basic wee bits about how we can push. And yeah, I'll hopefully see you for the next episode. I don't know when it'll be. It just is. It'll pop up at one point when the championships will be on the line at the Steel Cage Challenge. So take it easy. Much appreciated. And I'll see you all soon. Bye bye.